Hi, I'm Todd, head coach at NoLimitsTriathlon.com, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about my Ironman Canada Whistler 2016 race report. So just over, well, I guess it's almost a week and 2 days. We're going to be having another Ironman under our belts, and for me, this was my 13th Ironman, which is really crazy. And so what I'm going to do is talk to you about how the race went. So from my eyes of myself. First of all, I want to thank you in advance for watching this video. The cool thing is that when I was in Whistler, I ran into quite a few people who have watched my videos before, and they said, hey, I watched your video and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's kind of neat. And so if you ever see me at a race and you go, hey, I've watched your video, come on up and chat with me. Because I think that's neat to actually, see people who watch the videos that I don't personally know. So if I can get to know you, I think that's really cool. Like I met a couple people from Quebec in Whistler, and I met a guy at the finish line. He said, hey, I watch your videos. So stuff like that is really neat. So I appreciate that. So thank you in advance, especially if you make it to the end. If you make it to the end of this one, it's like doing an Ironman yourself. So I don't know how long it's going to be right now because I'm just recording it. Now you guys can look down, you can see the time, and you can see how long it took me to do it. So it should be shorter than the Ironman for sure. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you right now about is the pre-race, so the weeks leading up to the Ironman. Now, I got to say that I felt pretty good, healthy, and I was ready to race. 2 weeks before the race, my family and I went to Winnipeg for a week. But before that, so we left on the Monday. The weekend before that, we did the last No Limits training camp here in Calgary. So we got in a really good bike ride. We got a bunch of swimming in and some running. So that was my last big training block. And then when I was in Winnipeg for 2 weeks before, I really did nothing. I did one run of 90 minutes. And I got to say, it didn't feel very good. But it was a run nonetheless. But it was a nice break. And so then I came back to Calgary on the Monday, did some work on Tuesday, and then flew out to BC on the Wednesday. And the cool thing was when I got to Whistler, there was a bunch of us. We had a bunch of athletes there. And so we were able to do quite a few different group activities. The first one we did was on Friday, we did a test of the swim course. We did it about, what time was that? I think it was 9 in the morning. So by the time we got into the water, maybe it was close to 10 o'clock. It was pretty windy there, so there was a bit of chop on the water. And I remember looking around going, I hope this is not like race day. I mean, it could be. Like last year, 2015, it was horrible. It was just raining and windy and not so good. So this test of the swim on the Friday wasn't so good either. It was choppy, but the weather was okay. The water felt good, and we decided just to go out, swim to a couple of buoys, head towards the mountains, and then come back. And so by the time we were finished the swim, we had about a kilometer done, which is good. So we swam. Going out was hard with the chop. Coming back, we had a push of the current, so coming back was nice and easy, just gliding and stretching and rolling, and it was really nice. After that, what did we do? We did a mountain bike of the run course. So we rented mountain bikes and then we biked the run course. I did this last year, and so I tried to convince a bunch of people to do the same because it's a really great way to see the course without burning up too much energy. And so we were able to ride through these amazing forests beside lakes, and just really great way to see what do we have to do on Sunday. Now later on in the evening, we had a group dinner. We had it at a great Italian restaurant called Quattro's, and we had some awesome food. It was very delicious. And it was great to have the group and family members together before the race. It was a really great way to talk about our fears and what we're excited about, and just share different stories. So that was a lot of fun. Next day was Saturday, and this was our last group run. So we got up early and we did a short 6K loop around Lost Lake, which is again part of the run course. What the cool thing about this was you're not going that hard. So we're going, quite an easy effort. It gives it a chance to look around, just to say, okay, my legs feel like they're ready to race, and they know what to do. And that's really all that run was about. When we were running along the course, there were people ahead of us that were stopped and they were taking pictures of something in the woods. And you know what it was? Yep, that's right. It was bears. So there was a mama bear, mama brown bear, and then there's two cubs. Oh, they were so cute. But they potentially can be dangerous. So we just kind of slowly walked by, had a look at the bears, and then carried on. But what the neat thing was is, no one's pulling out their phones trying to get selfies or get pictures of it. We just looked at it. Took the beauty in, and then we carried on with our run. I thought, that was pretty neat. Okay, so then later on Saturday, we need to drop off our gear bags and then drop off our bikes at T1. For Ironman Canada here in Whistler, or there in Whistler, there were two transition areas. The first one, or T1, is at the lake, Alta Lake, and then T2 is back in Whistler in a parking lot. So we had to do two things on Saturday. We had to go to T2, drop off our run bag, and then we had to go to T1 and drop off our bikes and our swim to bike bag. And so what we did is we took our bikes and our stuff in a backpack and do that. So if you're ever going to do that, use the backpack that they give you in a race, or bring a backpack with you. Because I see this all the time. Everyone's got these bags. They got their gear bags and they're with their bike, and you're tired and you're excited about the race. And sometimes what happens is your bag is flopping around and your bag goes into the front of your spokes, and before you know it, you're over the handlebars and your race is done. So please, if you're going to do an Ironman or like a half Ironman or a race where you need to bike with bags, have a backpack, throw your stuff in the backpack so it's away from your wheels so that you are safe. Because at this point in the race, sometimes we check out and we're not quite so smart as we should be, right? So try to keep everything in your backpack and away from your wheel so you can get to the starting line safe. Now, the cool thing about this bike from the village to the T1 was the distance ended up being 3.8 kilometers. And I was riding with a bunch of my crew, and I said to Ian, I go, you know what? That's quite a far bike ride, eh? And he turned to me and said, you know what, Todd? That's how far we're going to be swimming tomorrow. And I just thought to myself, wow, you're crazy. And I said, wow, you know what? You're absolutely right. But that's crazy how far we have to swim. So, 4 kilometer swim is actually a pretty far way to go. Now, after we dropped off our bikes, then we dropped off our swim to bike bags. And then we decided, let's leave T1. Now, the lineup for the shuttle buses back to Whistler seemed very long, so we decided to walk. Now, perhaps we should have waited for the shuttle. It took a while to get back to Whistler, but the nice thing was the weather was good. It wasn't too hot, not too windy, so it was a nice way to chat on our way back. 3.8 kilometers. Okay, so now we are up to a race morning, and I had a lot of questions about, okay, Todd, what do we do actually on race morning? Even like, what time do you get up at? Now, for me, what I do is I don't have breakfast. That's something that I choose to do. So this is the timeline that I did. I was up at 4:30. I was planning to leave the hotel at 5:30, and so up at 4:30, leave the hotel by 4:50, and then walk from the hotel to T1, get there for 5 o'clock. And then once I got to T1, I need to get my body marked. You need to put your numbers on. I was wearing a one piece this year, and it had my shoulders covered, right? So when I told the person that my shoulders should be covered, she goes, "Oh, you don't need numbers then." I'm like, yes, no numbers, which is great. But you still have to put your age on your calf, which is cool, but no numbers. I hate getting that ink off the arm. So that was kind of a neat thing. No numbers that day for me. And then I walked to the bike to run bag and I dropped that off. No, I didn't drop it off, but I put in nutrition that I was carrying in that bag. Then I walked to the lineup for the shuttle, where I ran into Jackson and we rode the bus into T1 together. So it was really cool to have a friend to sit on the bus with and just talk about the morning and kind of reduce our stress a little bit. So that was really neat. It was really neat to have Jackson there for the morning. Once in T1, then I went to get my bike and get it all ready for the race. There was actually quite a lot of condensation from the night before, so I used my gloves to dry the bike off. So if you're doing this race next year, perhaps you may want to bring a small towel with you just to wipe off your bike. And so the areas that I wiped off, I just wiped off my my seat, and I wiped off the handlebars and the aero bars and the shifters, so that it wouldn't be slippery when I hopped on the bike. Then I also took my gels and nutrition and I put that onto the bike as well. And this year, what I decided to do, because I got this one piece on. How many of you guys have one pieces? This is my first time ever doing a one piece in Ironman. Usually what I do is I race with a bike jersey with the 3 big pockets, and so all my nutrition I put in the back pocket, so I got space for so much stuff. But the one piece I have, I got these 2 little pockets, and I find they're ridiculously hard to get into. So I'm like, I can't put anything back there. I'm like, I gotta be doing some kind of weird contortion to get my hands back there. I'm like, I'm not sure if I could do that on race morning without crashing my bike. So I went to the local bike store and I bought one of these guys. And this is a bento box. I've never had a bento box before. You know what the cool thing with this is? It closes like this. And it's magnetized. You guys probably have one. You think, oh yeah, whatever, Todd. But I still think it's neat that it just locks like that by magnet. Isn't that neat? So inside this, I could get in, I put in 2 packages of those shot blocks. And then I put in, I had a gel flask with 6 gels in it. So inside 2 shot blocks, 1 gel flask with 6 gels. And then I had this. I didn't use, this year I chose not to use salt tabs. I decided to use this stuff. I used this, can you see that? This is called base, I think it's base nutrition electrolyte salt. And I tried this in wildflower in April. And it's pretty neat. The way this works is you have your salt inside it. Right, you lick your thumb, you flip the top, you go like that. And then, you got your salt. You see, I'm working so hard in this video. I need some salt. Oh, but you know what I need to wash that down with? Is some nice coffee. As you guys know, when I do these races, or if you do a race, if you're my athlete, I ask you to bring me back a mug. So I've got this mug here, came from Jackson. Thank you very much. I have to wash that salt down. That's better. Okay, back to what I was talking about. So I'm in T1. I'm getting my bike ready, making sure it's in the proper gear and it's set up right. It's not going to get bumped over by other people. My bento box is full of nutrition. And then that's really it. I do a quick check of the brakes to make sure that the brakes aren't rubbing and that they're going to work. And once that's done, then I go to the swim to bike bag. And I need to take off my watch, because I've got this suit. I have a Roka swimsuit, or a Roka wetsuit, and I find that it's very tight here. And if you're gonna wear a wetsuit, you want to have, if you're gonna wear a watch during your swim on your wetsuit, you want to have it underneath that. So I didn't want to have it underneath the wetsuit, so I decided to take my watch and put it into the swim to bike bag, so that when I come out of the swim, I can put the watch on that way. I didn't want to swim with it. And to be honest, I don't really care about my swim time when I'm swimming, so I'm not going to look at the data afterwards. To me, it doesn't matter. They've got my my split anyway, so whatever. Okay, so I've done all that stuff, and now I need to figure out what I'm going to do for starting. Actually, you know what? The next thing I did is I went to the bathroom. So I came into T1, went to the bike, got that loaded up, and then I go, where's the porta potty? Because I know those lineups get ridiculously long. And what I did, don't tell anybody, but I went outside again. I went back outside, and there's about maybe 15 porta potties right by the train track. I used those ones. The lineup was like 5 people long. Don't tell a lot of people. Let everybody else use inside. We'll go outside. And then I came back into T1, and it was like, yeah, I didn't have to wait 20 minutes. I just waited 3 minutes. A good tip, though, and I do this for most races is bring some toilet paper with you to the porta potty or for transition, because you just never know if it runs out. Some races get really, really busy and you run out, and it's like, there's nothing worse, right? Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm not even gonna go there. So just bring some toilet paper with you. Okay, so I've done that. The bike's ready. My body's ready, and now I need to get myself ready to start. The pro men, they only had pro men at this event, and they didn't have pro women because you're going to alternate every year, which is kind of a neat idea. The pro men start at 6:45, and then the rest of us, we start at 6:50. Now, new this year in Whistler was a rolling start. Do you guys know what a rolling start is? Usually what they do is waves. They usually do a mass start. So we're all in the lake and go 3, 2, 1, go. And we all just go crazy, right? Everyone gets swum over top of, and it can be crazy. But new this year, they decided, okay, you're all going to be on the shore, right? The gun goes, and then you're going to have to go through this narrow section, and you go into the water that way. And it kind of makes sense, just to kind of funnel people through. And your time didn't start until you crossed the timing mat, which was either in the water or just before the water, to be honest. I don't know. But it was somewhere around there. It's kind of nice because if you're at the back of the bus, you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm losing time, because your time doesn't start until you actually get to that point. Now, the question is did I like that? I have to say yes and no. Where I lined up was they got all these signs up saying if you're going to be under an hour, 60 to, I think it was an hour 10, and then back. I put myself at the 60-minute mark, so an hour. And I just found that there was a gap in front of me before I got into the water, so I just filled it. And then I started the swim pretty quick. Now, I found that the swim was pretty uneventful. It was I didn't have a lot of people around me, or if they did, they were good, right? I had someone kept touching my feet every now and then, but it was like a gentle touch. So I don't mind that. If you're gonna caress my feet, that's a nice way to do it. Don't come in with your fingertips like this. Just a nice little gentle rub, or say, "Come on, a little bit quicker, come on." But don't do it very often. 1 or 2 is good. So that was probably the worst part about my swim. The nice thing about Whistler swim is it's a clockwise swim, and you go down one way, take a turn, and then come back. When you go down, it's going down the right side, the buoys are, I think I wrote it down here someplace. They're a different color. Just give me a second. Oh, okay, so going down, there were yellow buoys. And I believe there were 7 buoys, and they're numbered, which is kind of neat. So you can count off. You can go 1, 2, 3. And by the time you get to 7, the next one's going to be a turn buoy. And I think the turn buoy it's a different type of buoy, and it's a different color, and it even says a turn on it. So like number 1 turn, and so you got a turn, and then you head right into the mountains. This is a little tricky because the sun's coming up, and as the sun comes up, it blinds you, and it is so hard to see that buoy. And so basically, I just kind of follow people's feet, and then I kind of stop for a second, do a little bit of breaststroke, and go, where the hell am I going? Right, over there. So I head that direction. I think it's either 1 or 2 buoys that we pass until we turn again, and then we head back towards the start. And again, now you're on the other side of the course, and the buoys are a different color. I can't remember what they are. Maybe they were orange. But the thing about the water, perfect. It was like a perfectly calm day. Look at this picture here. You can see the mist coming off the water. And the temperature was hovering around 18 to 19 degrees. So for a lake in Canada, that's pretty good. I always find that the swim is not such a big deal. For me, I'm a pretty good swimmer, and I can get the swim in about an hour. And I was finished in 63 minutes. But I often find that once I get to about the 3/4 mark, I get to a point where I go, okay, I want to be done. And I kind of lose focus. I kind of lose my pace a bit. And I have to get it back. And what I did this year was a little bit different. And instead of focusing on time or my stroke or the pace or people around me, I focused just on enjoying swimming. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just thought, just enjoy moving your body, going through the water. You're in this mountain lake. You've got mountains surrounding you. You have a beautiful day. I just really enjoyed, being part of the Ironman swim and not stressing too much. And that helped me a lot and helped calm me down. And before you know it, I'm back into a pretty good stroke, and I'm moving along pretty good. Before you know it, the swim is almost over. You make that last turn and you can see the finish arch, and you just kind of keep going towards that. There are some weeds that kind of pop up, like these gigantic weeds coming up from the depth. It's they don't really touch your body, but you can see them. It's kind of freaky, but not too bad. And you keep swimming until you basically can touch. I keep swimming until my fingertips touch the bottom of the ground, and once I can touch, then I stand up and then I run in. And then what you do is you take your goggles, put them up, and then start unzipping your wetsuit, come across. I pull the wetsuit down to my waist, and then I let the volunteers pull it off. Sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I take it off myself. And you know what? I was swimming in the lake today here in Calgary, and I was commenting on my wetsuit. I go, oh, what's this? I get like a rip in it. And they go, well, how'd you get a rip in it? I think it might have been the volunteers. Sometimes they get a little aggressive. I get that. And so they might have just grabbed it and pulled it off. So I got a bit of a hole in my wetsuit. So that's a potential worry if you're going to use those strippers, is that they might be pulled a little too hard and they might put a little tear in your wetsuit. For this year, I didn't worry too much, but maybe next year I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to take it off myself, because I know my nails are cut and I'm not going to put a hole in it. So that's something just to be cautious of. A lot of the volunteers, that they want to get you out as fast as possible, and they got a lot of people to pull off. So they're just pulling it off. So keep that in mind. Okay, so once I get my wetsuit off, then I ran to pick up my swim to bike bag. Then I ran to the tent. And once I go into the tent, I run right to the end, and I make sure I talk to a volunteer, said, you got my stuff? He goes, yes. And then I take off the wetsuit. He just shoves it in there. I take my helmet on, take my glasses, put those on, and I take my shoes and I run with my shoes. I'm not putting my shoes on yet. I don't bike with socks on. Just if it's warm enough, I don't like it. So I'd rather just have no socks. I don't get any blisters that way, so I'm okay. So I'm running with my shoes, right, to my bike. I get to my bike, grab my bike, and go. That's all I need. Grab the bike off the rack, run. So I'm running with my bike in one hand and the shoes in the other hand. And I'm running down until I get through the arch. And then I keep running. You cross over the railroad tracks. And then you come to the mountain line. The reason why I'm running with my shoes in my hand is because I can go faster that way than if I'm running with my shoes on. And there's potential to slip on the pavement. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I'd rather run barefoot with my shoes in my hand. And once across the mountain line, I put the bike against the fence, put on my shoes, and then away I go. It works well for me. So we were done the swim. My time was 63 minutes, and I was very happy with that. I was hoping for an hour, but 3 minutes off is no big deal. So far, so good. Now, I didn't know that. Or did I? Did I hear the announcer say we're about at 63 minutes? I don't know. I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember. There's so much that happens in Ironman that you kind of forget. And I do recommend you to kind of do a brain dump, whether you do a video like this, post it on YouTube, or you write it into your notes, just so you have a record of this for your next Ironman or your next event. It really helps you to go, what worked and what didn't work. And I will actually watch this video next year. Hi, Todd. What race are you doing? I hope it's going to be a good one. And then it really helps me with what to do and, what I did this year that didn't work so well. Anyways, that's kind of a neat thing to do, though, because I will be watching this. The biggest thing that I found on the bike was nutrition, right? And so I found that by using this bento box, although the idea was cool, it was not so easy to use. Now, I had the shot blocks. I opened them up and put them all on the bottom. So I got, 10 of them in the bottom? 2 packages and the gels on top. Just not easy to get it out. So I don't think I ate as much as I should have. This stuff here, so instead of having it stuck in this bag, what I did is I took it. My suit was pretty tight, so I just took it and I would leave it like that. And so when I needed it, I would just take it out. Sometimes it would fall down a bit, but I could kind of hike it back up. And so that's how I use that. So I just shoved it in there. Will I use that technique again next year? I'll have to think about it. I'm going to work through some things to make it easier for me to get more calories in, because I think I did not get as much in as I needed. Okay, so the first part of the ride is from Alta Lake, and you're going towards Callahan Valley. Now, it's the beginning part of it when you just first come out. The road is a little bit iffy, so keep your wits about you for any cracks or holes in it. And there are 2 speed bumps too that you need to be aware of, so just keep your eyes peeled. I know you're excited to race and you want to just tear it up, but you got to keep yourself controlled and watch where you're going, okay? Then you get onto Highway 99 and you head towards Callahan Valley. Callahan Valley? I think it's called Callahan Valley, the cross-country ski area where the Olympics were. And so you're going along there, some rollers, there's some hills. And what I'm doing here is I'm paying very close attention to my power. I have a zone that I figured out, and the wattage that I wanted to hold for this race was 185. In the beginning, you do a little bit of jockeying for position. There's people that are going faster and slower. You want to kind of get around or away from people, so I'd be a little bit higher than 185, but not too much. So I'm okay with that. And just trying to stay aero, but you want to stay safe and just get to the turnaround, get to the first turn, because I know once it gets to the first turn, we're going to get spread out pretty good because it's a really good climb. But I found it wasn't bad at all. There wasn't a lot of drafting. Actually, I didn't see any drafting happening, so that's really good. I really hate to see the drafting. Once we took that right-hand turn going up to the climb, I watched my power, and yes, it has to go up a little bit higher than my average, but not too much. I just hopped up on the bars here like this, and so I'm no longer aero. I'm just trying to stay relaxed. I'm focusing on spinning up the hill. My gears that I chose, I have a compact, so I was 50, 34 in the front, 11, 28 in the back. And sometimes I wish I had like the biggest I could get going at some of those hills. It's like, are you kidding me? It's so hard. So if you can get a 30 or higher, it may be okay to have that. It's a nice way to see where you are in the race when you're going up to the Callahan Valley, is because when you get close to the top, you can see the fast people coming down, and we could see Andy Potts, and he had a huge lead. I'm like, wow, he's got a big lead on the next chase pack. And then you can see the top age groupers coming, and then you start looking for your friends, and you go, oh, hey, and it's kind of neat to do. And then when you're coming back, when I'm coming down the descents, I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking for my athletes and friends, and then waving if I can. And then I decide, I can't do that. I got to stay focused on myself, because some of these hills are pretty good. I want to stay in control of the bike. When I'm going down the hills, I usually don't stay aero. I usually get on my drops and go down this way so that I have control of the brakes just in case the wind comes in. I find sometimes the wind will push me around with the aero bars or with the aero wheels, so I like to have my hands on the brakes. But some people, they're kamikazes and they're excellent descenders, so they just let it rip. I think that's fun to watch those guys go. Once you've done that, then what we do is we head back onto 99, back into Whistler, and then we were en route to Pemberton. The ride to Pemberton, for me, was pretty uneventful too. I was really just trying to stay within my correct power zone. My energy level is feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty positive. And then I thought, oh, right, there's road construction coming up. Now, this was the big question mark that a lot of people had, was, would they be able to get the road construction done in time? So they had a big stretch of paving to be completed. And I talked to someone the day before and said, they have a lot to do, Todd. I said, well, they said they'd get it done, so hopefully they'll get it done. And you know what? They did get it done, which was great. There was a couple little bumps from the old to the new pavement, but it was well marked out, and you just kind of be careful getting on. What gave me a bit of concern was some of the descents on the fresh pavement. It seemed like, the pavement was shining. I thought, okay, this is fresh oil on here. And then I had to be careful because I didn't want to be slipping. The funny thing is, the day after the race, I was going down an elevator from my hotel, and the guy coming down who shared the elevator with me said, hey, how was the paving? He was the guy that did the paving. And I said, I told him my worry about the oil. I said, there's no oil on there. It just shines, but there is no oil. I said, so I should have just let it rip. So next time I'll know if it's fresh pavement, it's not oil. So let it go. But it was really nice to have the fresh pavement. So great job out there. Now after this paved section, we're going into Pemberton, and there's a lot of descending. And when I go down hills, I always think of it, this is just free speed. And so once I got to Pemberton, we came to the special needs area, which is around 95 kilometers or 100 kilometers. And what I did there is I grabbed 2 new bottles. Then I grabbed another gel container. And then I grabbed an E+. And that's nutrition that I was using from Isogenics. I also took the opportunity to pee. Like I had to pee for like an hour. I'm like, I'm going to wait till the special needs because I don't want to make 2 stops. And so after that stop, I felt way better. Okay, so now once in Pemberton, then it gets really flat. And then you have this out and back that's 52 kilometers. And it feels like an eternity when you're on a bike and you're in the aero position, just watching your zones and your power. And for whatever reason, in my head, I thought it was 40 kilometers. So Todd, if you're doing this race again next year, it's 52. 52. So that's 26 out, 26 back. That's a long way to go. Okay, just get like a playlist in your head and just start playing some songs, because it's not very exciting down there. Just get in the aero position, focus on what you're doing, and it's a great chance to focus on eating. On the turnaround coming back from there, I had the unfortunate wasp bite. I think it was a wasp or a bee bite, and it got me right in the upper thigh. And it's like, that was close. A little too close. And so I thought, oh no, and I could feel it, and I kind of put my hand down. I couldn't feel a stinger, but I knew right away this is not a good thing. I'm not overly allergic to bee or wasp stings. Like I don't swell up, but I've been stung before, and I do have a bit of a reaction. And so I've been stung before in an Ironman in Penticton. I know that my energy levels just drop. And I'm like, oh, this is such a bad time for this to happen. But I took my energy drink and I sprayed it on my leg, and I thought, well, maybe that's going to help. But really, there's nothing I could do, so I just kept going. So then at 8 stations, I just kept fueling up. And then once you leave Pemberton, then the fun really begins. And then you have the last 30 kilometers as you head towards Whistler is, what do we got? We have an elevation gain of 600 meters. And it's a lot of climbing, like a lot of climbing. I get to at the same point, I've done this race 3 times now, and I get to this certain point where I don't have a lot of energy, we're tired. People are passing me and you go, oh, this feels like it's never ending. And I go, this is it. I've done 13 Ironmans now, don't do any more. You're done. Why do you want to do any more? This sucks, right? That's my mindset at that point. It's always the same spot. I know it's a horrible place to be. And I was there for a couple of minutes. And then what I did, the same thing I did with the swim, is I said, you know what? I got to get rid of this, the way I'm thinking. I thought, okay, I'm going to look around. So I looked over here, saw these gigantic trees, which were awesome. You could see the mountains around you. And I focused on, you know what? We're all doing this together. We're all doing an Ironman. We're all having a great day. And just enjoy yourself. And I looked at the power. I'm doing okay, right? That's the number I'm supposed to be. These guys passing me, they're just better cyclists. That's just how it is. So just get your butt up these hills and then continue on. And it's funny, you keep doing that. Oh, when you come out of Pemberton, fuel up. Like, grab some water bottles. I always tell people to do that, and I forgot. I thought, oh, Todd, how could you forget? You've been telling people all week to do this. And I forgot, because when you get so hot, the sun comes out, you're baking, and you can take the water and just cool yourself off. And so I wish I did that, but then farther down the road, I got another aid station, so I kept a water bottle so I could cool myself off. And those hills, they're relentless, and they seem like they never end. They never end. So I switch over my computer screen, so now I can see the distance. I go, well, how many kilometers do I got left? And I'm just kind of, in my mind, clicking them away. Every kilometer goes down, down, down. With about 10K to go, I found it started to flatten out a bit, and I go, this feels better. And the interesting thing about this course is when you come down, you almost think you want to turn into Whistler where you normally do, but you don't. You got to go farther down and then take a right and go under the highway and then come back into Whistler. So it's a little bit farther down the road. And I knew that because I made that mistake last year, but I was ready this year. And I was actually feeling really good at this point. But yeah, I'm good. So I didn't push the pace, but I held a strong pace, and I wanted to hold the position I was in. I'm just trying to mentally get ready for the run. So as I get close to the transition, what I do is I reach down and I unbuckle my shoes, take my feet and put them on top of the shoes so that when I come to the dismount line, I can stop, get off the bike, hand the bike to a volunteer, and then I can start running. Now my computer is flashing at me, my camera is flashing at me, so I have to get up and I need to see why it's flashing. I think it's because I'm running out of memory space. Okay, I'm back. Now, I've just looked at the time here. I mean, I can't believe I've been talking for that long. It's a long time to talk. If you made it at this point, you should probably take a break. You should probably take some salt tabs. You should probably take some gels. You should definitely probably take some more coffee. Yeah, because I got a ways to go. Okay, so I'm almost done. I get off the bike, and then I'm just looking at the screen. Did I touch it? Did I move it? Maybe I did. Anyways, but it doesn't matter. I get off the bike, and then I start to run. And I go, oh, my lower back feels tight. And so you kind of do this little shuffle. You ever watch these guys on Ironman on TV, and they get off and they just run like gazelles? I'm like, that was not me today. I get off the bike. So then I grab my bike to run bag, go into the change tent. And it's a pretty quick transition because I'm wearing my one piece. All I do is put on my socks, put on my running shoes, put on a running cap, take my number belt, and take a gel flask, and then I go. And the volunteer said, hey, do you want your salt tablet, your salt container? I said, no, because I already have one. Remember, it's still stuck here, right? So I'm running. Doesn't feel so good, but I'm running anyway. Put a smile on my face. And then I'm running along about 500 meters. Guess what happens to this? It's gone. And a guy behind me is yelling, hey, you dropped something. I go, oh, it's my, it'll be fine. I'm only running a marathon. I don't need any salt, right? What could go wrong? So if that happens to you, you drop your salt, stop. Go back and pick it up. It's only like 30 seconds, but it could save you minutes. Okay, so now let me see where I'm at here. My goal time for the run for this race was to run a 3:30 marathon or better, which meant that I would have to hold 5-minute kilometers or faster. Okay, and that includes all my stops. Now, I've done a bunch of Ironman courses, and I gotta say that this run course in Whistler is my favorite. It's awesome. You're running on dirt packed trails, then you're running on bike paths, and you know what? I just love it. And there's a section that you go through with these gigantic trees in the woods. You run along lakes, 2 lakes. You run along, you see these planes, water planes, you see people in boats, and you might even see some bears. And it's just, to me, I think it's really nice. And just when you think you're getting really, really hot, you get sent off into the forest to really cool down. The volunteers are 100% awesome, super duper people, and without them we couldn't do it. And so thank you very much for being a volunteer. It was just awesome to watch that. I found that my first kilometer felt okay. It was 4:56, so right on pace, but I didn't feel so good. Soon we were on the dirt paths running around Lost Lake. I just love that loop. Now after 5K, my pace is at 5 minutes. So it's bang on, it's perfect, right? So I'm starting to feel good. So I continue on this pace, and I keep no stopping at the aid stations. How I run an aid station, I grab the water, and then I grab Red Bull. That's all I was doing in an aid station. And I'd be running with a gel flask, so I put gel, water, and then Red Bull, whatever would wash down the gel. It didn't really matter to me. And it felt really, really good. And so I held that pace probably for 20 kilometers. I go, I feel good. And then I come back into town, and then I go, oh, I don't feel so good. And it's just like feeling good and then not so good. And I can't explain why that happened. Maybe it's because I didn't have my salt. I don't know. But I knew there's going to be a point where my cheering crowd is going to be. I'm like, I can't walk, but I desperately want to walk. And so once I pass my crew, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm going to walk soon. So I think 10 minutes down the road, I went to special needs, and I grabbed another E+, and it was hot. I'm like, should not do that again. Todd, don't do that next year. Don't put an E+ in your run special needs. Not a good idea. It was too warm, or freeze it. or keep it cold somehow. Then I took nothing else from there. I'm like, I don't want anything else from there. I just didn't feel like it. And so I started walking. And I was walking up this hill. And this guy, so now I'm merging with people that are just starting their run. So I've completed one loop. Now people are coming on relatively fresh, right? Because they're just starting the run. And there's a little bit of an incline, and I'm walking. I'm like, oh, I feel horrible. And I'm walking, and this older gentleman beside me, he starts talking. He goes, you know what? My plan today is I'm gonna walk up every hill. And I just think to myself, don't engage, right? I'm too tired. And one of my rules is when I'm doing an Ironman is I try not to talk to people. I might do a little bit of encouragement, but I try not to engage in conversation, because you do that, it's a kiss of death, and then you're going to slow down. I'm like, don't do it. And my goal is not the same as his goal. My goal is not to walk up every hill. I don't want to walk with you up the hills, and I'm sorry. So I try to push that out of my head as I get close to the first hill or the top of the hill. Then I try to get into a run. I get my run back, and it feels okay. And then as it goes up again, I got to walk again. I go, oh, this is tough, because I'm breaking my plan because I didn't want to walk during this marathon. Come to the next aid station, same thing. I've got to walk, and that's okay. And then I run, and I'm by Lost Lake. And when you're by Lost Lake, there's these two floating docks in the water. The first one is there, and the second one's farther up. And I'm walking by, and I'm looking down, and I go, you know what? I could be down there. I could just walk down this hill, go to the dock, dive in, float in the water. It would feel so good. Now, did you guys know that second dock is where a lot of the naked people hang out? I'm just saying, if you want to have a little break in the race, that could be it. So I decided not to hop down there and just keep going. I'm still walking up the hill. When it starts to go down, I start to run again. Now I'm still don't feel so good. And then I get passed. I get passed by a lady who's on her second loop as well. I know that because I passed her on the first part of the run. And so she passed me on the bike going up a hill. I go, oh, I can't ride that fast. And so then I decided, you know what? Try to keep her pace. So I see her in the distance. I try to pace off her. And I go, you know what? I can do it. It's work, but I can do it. I keep her within distance, and before you know it, I'm right there. So when the aid station comes, I walk to the aid station. She keeps going, and I walk, and then again I try to keep bringing her in. So I keep repeating this pattern of having a pacer in the front. I'm walking and catching, walking and then catching, and it really worked well for me. So once I get to 30 kilometers of the run, I feel way better, and I'm able to run consistently now without walking too much through the aid station. The last 2K of the run is really, really hard. I found that once you've done the 2 loops, then they shoot you off to the right and they head you back down into the village. Now, where I was in the race, there was no one around me. Like, I was all by myself. Not a lot of people expecting me to be there for the crowds. It was kind of a weird thing. So I'm just running by myself, and I go, you know what? I could just walk. No one's in front of me. No one's behind me. Who cares? Let's just walk. Let's just have a little bit of a break, Todd. It could be a little bit of Todd time. And you know what? I decided, don't do it. You can have a break. You can have Todd time after this race. You get 2K to go. This is 10 minutes. Come on, just dig deep. Keep going. I know it hurts, but just keep going. So then you get closer to the finish line. You got 1K to go, and you can see the finish line. You can see the chute. And then you got to take a left. And then they shoot you down this way. You got to do kind of a up and around, then back into this restaurant area, and then come back down to the finishing chute. And for me, it was great. I was totally exhausted, but I had the finishing chute all to myself, so I'm trying to get the crowd to go. I'm just happy, and I do my traditional jump at the finish line, gently touch the clock, and then I'm done. And that's it. Ironman number 13 was all done, and I was super duper happy. The funny thing is, the cool thing is when I finish an Ironman, I'm exhausted, as most people are. And what I like to do is I search around, I find grass, I go, I'm going to lie down and right there. And I tell the volunteer that I do this every race. I just want to lie down. And she said, okay. So she put me down and said, just help me down, because your legs stop. You know, they just seize up at the end, and they're so sore. And so then I lie down, and then everyone comes to see me, all these, volunteer paramedics and stuff, and they're saying, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I said, I just need to lie down. One guy says, hey, do you want to go to the medical tent? I go, well, I don't really need to go. He goes, yes, you may not need to go, but we have cots there. I go, cots? That sounds good. I go, but I don't want to take a cot away from another athlete that needs it. He goes, you know what? We don't have hardly anybody in there. Do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Help me up. So they got me up. I did my my picture. I put up like this. So it's supposed to be 13 Ironman, right? And then they said, hey, do you want a wheelchair? I'm like, yeah. So wheelchair, and they wheeled me off to the medical tent, and they put me into a cot, covered me with a blanket, feet up, and then I just relaxed there for 20 minutes before I felt ready to go. It was a great way to finish. I loved it. So that's it for the race. Ironman 13 is done. You know what? I was very proud I was able to accomplish on that day. For me, it wasn't the perfect race, but it was pretty good. Like Forrest Gump would say, Ironman is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, right? But I did find that what we did get, we got great weather, amazing volunteers, spectacular scenery, a cool hat, shirt, medal, really cool medal with a little bear on it, I like it, and bragging rights that will last a lifetime. Will I return to Whistler in 2017? There's a good chance I will, if I have enough athletes going. So if you're watching this video and you want to be coached to an Ironman, send me an email. I will help you. I've coached hundreds of people to triathlons, and I can get you to an Ironman. And in fact, you know what? I've already booked my hotel for Whistler. So if I get enough athletes going, I will go back. I absolutely love that week of week before the race. It's one of my favorite times. And one of my athletes sent me an email and says, you know what? Ironman, his favorite day of the year. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty neat. Very neat. So this is Coach Todd saying thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up just down below. And feel free to share the video. And you know what? Ironman 14 is coming up for me. Wonder where it's going to be. So Todd, if you're watching this video next year, where is it? I want to know. Give me a thumbs up. Coach Todd saying thank you very much and happy training.